Hello, my friends, and welcome to Fear into Faith. This is our Miracle Signs and Wonders series. I'm your host, Summer Day, and with me in the studio today is a woman who was told she was probably going to have brain surgery, and then, in a moment, God healed her. Help me welcome to the stage, Raquel Foreman. Hello, Raquel. Excited to have you here. Glad we could make it work to have you join us on Zoom.
So glad to be here. Thank you.
Well, tell everybody just a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I am originally from New York, currently live in North Carolina. I'm a realtor, and I've been married for 24 years tomorrow.
Oh,
and thank you. And we have 4 children, 17 to 22 years old.
I love it. How long have you been a realtor?
2 years.
2 years. Do you love it?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Negotiating as we're talking here. I'm like, hold on, I'll be right back.
Doing all the things at once. We're in the middle of closing on our first house. So I'm learning that there's a lot to being a realtor. I now have lots of respect for them. That's a lot to be a realtor. Well, I'm glad you're here to share your story. What year did your story happen?
I believe it was 2013.
Okay, 2013. Now, of course, I told everyone you had a doctor telling you, I think you need to have brain surgery, but let's backtrack from that. What was going on in your body? What were you experiencing?
So I had been experiencing migraines, which I normally didn't have ever. I was experiencing like pain in my hands and my feet, but not normal pain. See, because I was in the military, so I have injuries from that.
And what branch of the military were you in?
Army.
And when you said you had injuries from being in the Army, can you tell us like what happened? What kind of injuries did you have?
Yeah. So it just started off simple. My arches collapsed. And because I was in basic training, it was during a ruck march where you have a really heavy backpack and you go 10 miles.
It's called the ruck march?
A ruck march.
Why is it called a ruck march?
Right. Good question.
Nobody knows. It's just called that.
But it's
a ruck march. You have to wear a heavy backpack and 10 miles in combat boots?
Yes. And so my arches collapsed. And because I was in basic training, they said, wait until you get to AIT, which is your school. And then I got there and they said, wait till you get to permanent duty station. And waiting.
They didn't send you to the doctor. They just kept making you wait.
They just kept on giving me ibuprofen and icing my knees, feet, whatever. But that turned into a slew of other issues that I was dealing with. And I still am to this day. So yeah, I'm at 100% disability because of the VA injuries and stuff. So,
oh, that's so horrible to hear. Is that common?
Extremely.
Oh,
extremely. So, I know. So, this was different. It was, my hands were burning, my feet were burning. The migraines were affecting everything. I vomiting and blindness that I couldn't see, like the light was just terrible. And I never dealt with that before.
Yeah.
So I finally went to the doctors. I had been going continually, but then it turned into something more happening.
Yeah.
And so I went and spoke to a neurologist, and he said I needed to possibly have brain surgery.
Ow. Did he say why?
He said that my brain was sitting on my skull that was causing pressure, and that I would probably, it's called Arnold-Chiari malformation, that I would need to get, thank you.
Say that again.
Arnold-Chiari malformation.
Wow.
And so he had told me that it would take about a year to recover from it. But it's something that I was like, you know what, if that's what we have to do, then that's what we have to do. Okay. But I do remember leaving that appointment and calling my husband, and I was just in tears, like, what is this? This is ridiculous. My left side of my muscles were atrophying. It was bad. It affected every aspect of my life.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So what did he tell you to do next?
He told me to go to a neurosurgeon.
Okay.
And so that's what I did. I made an appointment. I went to head up there. It was an hour away. It was in Arizona. And 5 minutes from the appointment, they called and they canceled.
5 minutes before.
5 minutes.
You've already driven an hour.
Yes. And so I turned around, went back home. I was in tears because I was just like, I was so over being in so much pain.
Yeah.
And
just giving answers.
That's it. Just give me answers. And that Sunday we went to church. Of course, they gave me medication because they were like, we don't know how to help you with the pain right now. And I was high as a kite with the medication. And I recall being in the back
of the kite at church.
Sorry, Lord.
Okay. I feel like high as a kite's different on different people. What did that look like? Did you feel like you just needed to lay down? You couldn't get up? When I take Vicodin, I have to take half Vicodin. If I take a whole Vicodin, I don't even know my name anymore.
Yes, so, that's where it was.
Okay.
So I was in the back and I remember my head was leaning against the wall. I couldn't do the normal stuff. Like I would pray in for service. I would go up and offer prayer for people.
Things like that. Prayer team.
Yeah, like all of it. And I couldn't operate. Like I knew that I was like, am I drooling? Like, so I'm there. And service starts and the pastor stops everything and calls me up and he says, Sister Raquel, come up here. We want to pray for you. And I recall at that moment, like, wow, Lord, you see me so important that you would stop an entire service just to pray for me. And so that's what happened. I went up there and he asked the entire congregation to intercede. And he told me at that point, now I remember myself, like, I was just ready. I was like, Lord, give me whatever it is you have. Give it to me. Because I know what he can do because he's done it for me before. Not the healing part of it, but the gifts and all of that stuff. So
yeah. At that point, were you really believing God for healing?
Yes.
Wow, so good.
Yeah.
I don't think you know that my story's in the book, and I got healed of seizures. I had seizures before, and then I was healed for 4 years, didn't have any seizures, and then started having them again after a traumatic incident, and then was having them again for like a year and a half, and then I got diagnosed by 2 different doctors that I had epilepsy, had all these scans done, and my seizures continued to happen. But as soon as I was diagnosed, I started telling everybody I was diagnosed with epilepsy, but God is going to heal me. I don't know when or where, but I just know that he will. Yep. And I continued to never speak the diagnosis, but just kept speaking, he's going to heal me. He's going to heal me. So you were believing.
That's right.
Spirit. Wow.
Yeah. Because I also believe that, like, I never say it's my whatever. Yeah. My migraines, the migraines. I put no claim to it.
Come on, that's not your power of the tongue.
That's it. It's not your epilepsy to claim.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with it. I never said I was an epileptic or any of those things. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, and you're going to hear what the doctor said next.
500 TV channels and nothing's on? Nothing's on? Check out the home of positive programming, Zondra TV. Zondra TV. Our shows are guaranteed to inspire, motivate, and encourage you to live the life you deserve. Add the Zondra TV channel to your Roku, Apple, or Amazon Fire streaming device and start living your best life now. Visit the app or channel store on your device and search for Zondra TV. You're gonna love it.
Losing a family in the line of duty is a heart-wrenching, painful experience that no one could ever be prepared for. The emotional loss can be traumatic, and the financial setbacks can be life-altering. Blue Family Fund is a nonprofit organization that exists to assist the families of fallen officers and first responders. Our focus is to raise funds for higher education, scholarships for dependents of law enforcement officers and first responders. We are here for you.
Hey, friend, welcome back. We're here with Raquel, and we're going to hear about what happened and how God healed her from needing to have brain surgery to being healed in a moment. And we were leaving off right when you're at church. The pastor had called you down and you were believing for your healing. And then what did the pastor do when you got down there?
So he directed me over to Mother Annie, and he said, Mother Annie has the healing.
Now, who's Mother Annie?
So Mother Annie was a mother in the church, and she had a stroke.
She's not like one of the elders of the church. She's on her team.
Well, she was just an elder of the church, like in her 70s or so, and she had a stroke not too long before all of this, and she wasn't supposed to make it.
Wow.
And God healed her. And so when he said, Mother Annie has the healing, the same healing that God gave her, he has for you. So at that moment, I was like, I receive it. I don't care. Lord, heal me now. Just, and I knew it. I knew that, although I never experienced it, I knew what God was capable of, because he had used me before to prophesy into people's lives. And there are like things that I was like, Lord, I didn't know any of that. Like, he literally used me. So I knew that because I experienced it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to understand it. Mm-hmm. I'm just receiving it. So when I went and I put my hands on her knees, and then because she was in a wheelchair, and she put her hands over me, and immediately it was like a bolt of electricity from the top of my head to the soles of my feet. And it was the Holy Spirit just started interceding for me, just declaring healing in the name of Jesus, and then started naming all these parts in my body. And I was like, well, I know this isn't me. And true story, for a moment, I was like, this isn't me. As he's over here healing me, I'm like, this isn't me. Oh my gosh, this isn't me.
You're arguing with the Holy Spirit in the middle of your healing.
Oh my, I didn't know that was the name, but I have ADHD, so I'm like, oh, sorry, Lord.
So you started praying and names of things started coming out of your mouth?
It wasn't, I don't think I said anything verbally.
You just hearing all of it.
Yeah. Wow. And I was just like, this is happening. And I just knew that I'm going to receive it. I'm going to receive it. I fell to my knees. And when I was done, I went back, and pastor was like, when you go to the doctor's tomorrow, it was Monday, because they rescheduled me for Monday. When you go to the doctor's tomorrow, they're going to say, I don't know why you're here. And because you're healed. And then, of course, my husband was like, well, if that's the case, I mean, I'm going to dance out my clothes like David danced. If that happens.
I'm going to dance out my clothes. I like how you put that. So your appointment was on Friday and they canceled.
Yeah.
And because they canceled, you had an opportunity to go to church.
Yep.
Come on, Jesus. And then they had rescheduled you for Monday.
Yep. And here's the irony about all of this. Why didn't I just stay home? I wasn't feeling well.
Yes.
I didn't.
Why did you go to church drugged up and not feeling good?
Just passed out on the sofa in the back. Yeah. Like, I don't know. So obviously it's because God needed me to be there. Right. So Monday comes, I told my husband, I definitely need you to come with me because I need a witness. And we drove up there, an hour again, check in, and they try to cancel on me.
They say we're going to have to cancel?
Yeah. And I said, no, thank you. No, thank you. No.
Why were they going to cancel?
Oh, it's the VA. So who knows? I don't know. Maybe they double booked. I don't know. But I said, no, you're not canceling me. You guys already canceled me one time on Friday. And I need to see the neurosurgeon now. So they said, okay, well, he has something after lunch. You're going to have to sit here. So we were there for like 2-3 hours.
Wow. You're like, I am not leaving till this guy sees me. Good.
I wasn't leaving because when I left church on Sunday, I started feeling better. I didn't have the burning in my hands and my feet. And I was like, if I wait another day, the devil will try to come in and try to steal this from me.
Yep.
And I just was not. I was like, nope, we're done with this today.
Come on.
And so when we were sitting there, the neurologist came through, the one that recommended me to the neurosurgeon.
Okay.
And he said, "Oh, I'm so glad you're following up. I'm so glad you're here."
Did you almost giggle in his face? You're like, yeah, me too.
I was like, afterwards, I was like to my husband, I was like, what are the chances of me seeing the doctor? Because the VA is huge. It's big.
Yeah.
His office wasn't there.
Wow.
His office was
That's like a little God wink. He's walking by.
right.
So like you're here, you're like, yeah, so's Jesus. Ha ha ha.
So wait till you see what happens. So we get in there and he takes
So you see a second doctor, right? So that was the neurologist walking by. Now you're at the neurosurgeon. Okay.
and he presses my hands, and then he tests to see if my left side was atrophied, and then he goes, "I don't see anything wrong with you. I don't know why you're here." Exactly how God said it was going to happen, right?
Wow.
And so my husband kind of, like, we both grinned so big, and my husband looked and was like, "Are you sure those are her x-rays?" He's like, "I looked to make sure your name was on there and everything." These were the same x-rays that the neurologist showed us. And he showed us, he circled it. He said, "Here it is. Here's the problem." And now I was going to need a year of recovery if that was the case, right? But after he said that, he was like, "You don't need surgery." Like, that was it. We walked out.
Wow.
And we just started glorifying God, because that truly what he said was going to happen, we believed it.
Yeah.
And we didn't allow the enemy to come in to try to put any doubt in our minds or anything like that, because I knew what he can do.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Wow. What did the church people say?
Oh.
What did Annie say?
Oh, well, the church they were waiting. I think they were waiting for the report. Just praising God with us. Mother Annie, let me just say this. Mother Annie, she ended up passing not too long after. Wow. And I believe that the healing, I was that final assignment for her. For her to lay hands on me so that God can use her.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
When you showed up for church the following Sunday, was it like a Holy Spirit dance Jesus party or?
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. So, and it was just, and the same healing that he gave to Mother Annie that he had for me, God said that he was going to heal our daughter from Crohn's disease, and that's a whole nother story, and that happened.
I like how you're slipping that one in under the radar. Your daughter was healed from Crohn's disease. Okay, right. That in a second. So you got to church. Everyone is rejoicing. Did you share? Obviously, did they call you back up and all the things?
Yeah. Just it was just surreal. Like, there's knowing God, experiencing the Spirit, experiencing the gifts.
Yeah.
And then there's knowing of.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to pause you there. We're going to take another break. We'll be right back after this.
Are you tired of being a wallflower? Are you rhythmically challenged with your 2 left feet? Well, you don't have to be. You can wow the crowd on the dance floor, and it's easier than you think. Let Sir Charles turn your 2 left feet into the smooth, happy feet that you've always wanted. Learn the 8 basic steps, and you'll be able to step on the dance floor and move with grace and confidence. Never again be afraid to dance with that special someone. Visit SirCharlesDance.com and take your first step into a happier, more graceful life. Go to SirCharlesDance.com today.
Welcome back, my friend. We're here with Raquel, who shared her story about how she was told she was going to have brain surgery and then goes to church, gets healed, comes to the doctor, the neurosurgeon on Monday, and he's like, I don't know why you're here. There's nothing going on with you. And that was in 2013. So it was 11 years ago. No, pain's never come back. Hands haven't hurt like that. None of the things. I love it. I love it. And, you know, in my experience, when I got healed from seizures, I felt like the Lord told me that I would walk in authority over that, because God will bring an anointing, but authority comes with experience. And when I went to Kenya last year, there was an experience where I got to be used by God to heal a 12-year-old girl of seizures. Her mom had come up and started talking about how she has this little girl who violently flings herself to the ground. And it reminded me of that little boy in the Bible who was flinging himself in the fires and all of that. And the Lord had already revealed word of knowledge, seizures. He had me write it down. And when I went up there to heal her, I had a very out-of-body experience. So I've had this, where I'm being strong and courageous on the outside. I'm like, do you believe that God has sent a woman here from America who was healed of seizures and can heal your daughter today? Go bring your child. And inside, I'm like, who do you think you are? You're not Catherine Coleman. You're crazy. You're not going to heal this child. And when you don't heal her, this entire congregation is going to lose faith, so much so that the church will be broken up forever. I mean, that's what's going on inside of me. But I'm like, bring me your child. And as soon as they brought her, they had to go get her and come back in like 15 minutes. As soon as they brought her, she actually had a seizure and fell to the ground. I screamed because she almost hit her head on speaker. I mean, she was like, boom, sack of potatoes. And I thought she was going to die, hitting her head on speaker.
Wow.
So it was very unreal. And I really think that God's going to do that with you. When you were talking about Annie has the healing, and she kind of passed that on to you. And so I was wondering if you've experienced that yet. If in the last 11 years, have you had a chance where God has used you yet? Because if he's not, you better hang on for the ride.
Well, I'm always hanging out for the ride. Yes. So we had a sister. She was fairly young, like I believe in her 40s, and she was diagnosed with cancer, and she had been struggling for about a year. And we were at service, and Pastor called me up, and he said, Sister Raquel, you have the healing for Sister Tess. Now, make no mistake, I'm not the one healing anybody. God is working through me, right? Okay. Because
inside, I'm freaking out. I'm screaming. I'm against it. Just I'm letting Jesus use me in the moment.
Lord. Yeah. So I remember dropping to my knees because I recall I felt like God was telling me that, but I didn't believe that. I didn't want to be like crazy, like, I have the healing, don't you worry about that, you know?
Yeah.
I needed confirmation.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. And so when I went over and I touched her, her whole body jolted. And she passed away not too soon after that. And we were all in prayer before service. And the pastor said, you know, I know you're struggling. God showed me that you're struggling with you. He told you that you had the healing for Sister Tess. And he said it was a spiritual healing. She needed that healing so she could cross over in peace. Wow. And she was absolutely at peace when the time did come. But yeah, that was one of
That's beautiful. This is like strengthening a lesson that God was just recently revealing to me is, you know, sometimes the healings don't look the way we think they're going to. Sometimes it's a spiritual healing, it's a mental healing, emotional healing, it's a marital healing, it's whatever. I have a beautiful person that I love that's getting the opportunity to be challenged with cancer right now, and was talking to her. You know, we've been praying over her. We sent her a beautiful healing blanket from Joan Hunter Ministries. And she said to me, I know you're believing for a physical healing, but the Lord has been healing me in so many other ways. Wow. The Lord has been using this to strengthen me and to build up my faith and the faith of others. And it was beautiful. Like, wow. And that healing was so much more important to the person. So I love that. I love that it's not always going to look the way that maybe we want it to or think it will. The healing might come in a different way.
Absolutely.
So beautiful. All right, we have a little more time, so I think we get to go back to that like bomb you dropped of like, oh, and then he healed my daughter of Crohn's. We know that. The next thing that I wanted to ask you is, how did this strengthen your faith or the faith of your church or your family when God healed you?
Well, like you really can't put words to it.
Yeah.
For us to physically see like it manifested the way that it did, my children were always by us, right? So they were able to witness it, and every step of the way we would make sure that we would explain what's happening. Now they all grew up in the church, and so it just gave me the courage to speak life into people, to believe. It brought my gifts to another level.
Yeah.
Like the dreams, interpretation of dreams, the prophecies, the things like that. And it also humbles you.
Yeah.
Like it just humbles you. Like you're just like, wow, you can't tell me that there is no God.
No. And who am I that you chose me for this moment? So
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Okay. So that happened in 2013. And then how long ago did your daughter get healed of Crohn's?
2018.
So 5 years later.
Yes. So
tell us a little bit about that.
She was struggling. It just came out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, she was vomiting black. She wasn't eating. Her stomach always was hurting her. Now, we had a history of her when she was younger, always saying her tummy hurt. We were like, there's nothing really going on. Like, we couldn't figure it out. So after a year of searching, they finally transferred her to 3 different hospitals. We were 3 hours away from the house, and she was in the hospital for 11 days, and they finally diagnosed her with Crohn's disease. We didn't have it in our family. We have no issues of IBD in our family, nothing. Wow. Nothing. And then that started on another year of her. So her pain started in 2016. Her healing happened in 2018. It started a whole nother round of she wasn't in school. She fell to depression. She was on these medications.
Yeah, Crohn's is hard. I have a with Crohn's.
And so 2018 came, and my husband and I were in prayer, and we felt like God said that the healing is back home. It's in North Carolina. My husband's from here. And we moved back here in December. In February,
we have like 1 minute left. So
okay, in December. In February, we get to the doctors, and the doctor said, I looked at all of her biopsies, all of that. It's not a mistake. She did have Crohn's. It's not a misdiagnosis. She doesn't have it right now. And from that moment, we told our daughter, just like it happened to me, just like this, it can happen to you. And from Friday to Monday, she was back in school. They told her stomach would be she wouldn't grow, all the things. She's like 5'10". Yeah.
So did you guys pray over at church? Where did she receive prayer for?
It was at church.
Same church as you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on. So
yeah.
Friday, it's same church?
No, we moved to North Carolina.
Okay.
But the promise was within the church, within the ministry, same people.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so since 2018, she's had no
scarring. No, it's not in remission. And the doctor said off the record, it's a miracle.
Come on. Oh, off the record.
It's Jesus.
Come on. So good. Well, I can't wait to hear your next story. I feel like God's just getting started with you, Raquel. So good. Well, I'm so glad you got a chance to share that. I think we got to get your daughter in the next book and get her on the show. So thank you for being here and sharing all of that. Appreciate you. And thank you, my friend, for watching. I pray that you're encouraged by not just one miracle story, but 2 miracle stories happening in this family. And I pray it deepens your faith in God today. I'll see you next time.
If you want to amplify your mission and your cause, be sure to watch Giving Out Loud right here on Zandra TV.